Hello, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live yet again. Maybe I should have a picture of the Christmas tree. And to do our Soul Sunday broadcast. For those of you who may be new to the broadcast, let me just explain what happens. The first little bit, we actually do some news, views, and updates on people because we're like a big extended family and everybody wants to know what everybody else is doing. So just bear with us while we do that. For those of you watching on the replay, you're going to see from 00 to a certain time, we're doing news, views, and updates. And then from that time onwards, we're doing the subject of today. And Sundays is our Soul Sunday. We try to get a little bit in touch with our peace and quiet so that we can manage for the upcoming week. Today, we're going to be doing some work with some Zen quotes, which I thought would be nice for us to do because they are, really nice and peaceful for us. All right, so to start off with, hi to Beth. And I just wanted to say that, Beth, you really do sound like you're working really hard. Oops. And I've just managed to nuke the quotes that I'm just going to do. Let me just get those back again while we're waiting for people to arrive. Hi there, Jody. Good to see you. Just hold on 1 second. I've managed to do something that I didn't mean to do. So we're just going to start again on this one. There we go. We can do that. All right, so, hi, Lexon. I wonder if that's Alex1. Ah, yes, Alex1, there we go. You love the videos and you're only 20 years old, but you don't have to be a certain age to enjoy the videos. I've found that people enjoy the videos when they're in a certain place in their life rather than an age. So welcome, nice to meet you. And for those of you who are regulars, let us just quickly do the countdown so that you know where we're at. This is part of what we do every week. So for those of you who are December followers, and the December people are people who join Benji and Judy and the rest of the team as we raise money this year for Save the Children. We've actually only got 4 days, 23 hours, and 26 minutes and 24 seconds left until that. That's scary to me. I've got so much to do before we get there, but never mind. And I just want to make a heads up to everybody that because of the broadcast, we will not be doing any of the DearMamaSal broadcast next weekend, all right? Because I will either be doing December or trying to recover from the same. Alex, don't you dare call us Miss Anything, all right? We all just have first names here. I appreciate your good manners, but I can assure you Jody's going to feel twice as old as she really is. Hi there, Trina. All right, so 4 days, 23 hours, and just amazing. 5 days from now, we'll already be doing it. Christmas, for those of you who celebrate, just 15 days away. And for those of you like me who don't do winter very well, it's 100 days away until spring. And I just wanted to take a moment to wish everybody who's living in the southern part of the States who are not used to snow, I think your governor said it best, stay in, watch the football, don't try and go out in that stuff. It looks terrible. And so I hope that you enjoy it. Yeah, so, but I just want to say, Alex, we really appreciate the good manners. It's lovely to see somebody who has good manners. Where are you from, Alex, if you can tell us? Just so that you know, I think you know that I'm in Canada, in southern British Columbia. Jody's sitting in New Hampshire. You're from Switzerland. Well, there you go. That's good. Are you a December follower? Because I will look out for you during the broadcast if you are. You're a big fan of Judy's. Okay, so when you come on, make sure I give you a shout out from my side. It might only be in typing, but at least you'll get a shout out. So let's do this. All right. News, views, and updates. Everything seems to be fine, pretty quiet on the home front, and let's touch wood on that one. I don't think there are any major catastrophes going on anywhere. Am I right on that one, Jody? Am I missing any drama anywhere? I hope not. I hope that nobody has got drama at this time of the year. By the way, just so that you know, Alex, I have been to Switzerland. I've been there a couple of times, in fact, and I loved your country. I loved its cleanliness, and I loved other than British Columbia, or along with British Columbia, I'd like to say that probably the cleanest country I've been to. Where was I? I was winter sporting Kitzbühel. Is Kitzbühel in Austria or Switzerland? Kitzbühel's in Austria, I think. But then I traveled to, oh gosh, I can't remember. Beth broke her toe. Wow. How did you drop something on it, Beth? How did you break your toe yesterday? Yes, there's not much they can do except tape it to the next toe, I believe. Yeah. Very sore, though. Yeah, I bet, I'm very serious. I have been to Switzerland. I just can't remember. I'd have to look at the map to be able to tell you where in Switzerland I went, other than the obvious places. Wow, Trina's got family traveling home for Christmas. Where are they traveling? From San Diego. Wow, that is an incredible long trip. You're a Filipino. Well, we allow you that. All right. My experience, the Filipino people, such kind people. From my personal visits to the Philippines, unbelievably kind people with no sense of time. You know, the one thing I remember, Alex, more than anything else about being in the Philippines, other than the generosity of spirit, was, you know, I'm a time freak. So when somebody says to me, I'll be there to pick you up at 5, you know that I'm ready at 1:45 and waiting. And what I didn't know was that 5 means anytime from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. You know, that you know, it's not really it doesn't mean 5 at all. And, you know, for somebody that is a very polite time freak, it was very difficult for me. I waited a long time. You know, for people kept saying to me, well, you know, that's wonderful. We're going to come and pick you up for lunch. And I go, okay, fine. What time? Yeah, you know, lunchtime. Yeah, but what time is lunchtime, you know? And I realized lunchtime is any time between breakfast. Well, actually, no, it's any time from sort of midday to 5, you know, would be lunchtime. So the only other place in the world that I came across that, I think, was perhaps in Lesotho. I think it was Lesotho, Swaziland, where they actually walk at an incredibly slow pace. And, you know, you literally have to be walking like this to be walking at the same speed as everybody else. Yeah, Jody, you have no idea. Unless you've been there, you have no idea. Time is a very different concept. But anyway, I have fond memories of being in the Philippines and the people there. You know, it's interesting, Alex, because the one huge memory I have is I actually got to shake the hand of Mrs. Aquino. And I don't know if you are old enough to remember her, but it was a huge honor for me. I didn't want to wash my hand for about a month, just before she became president. And it was a really, what a nice human being. Hi, Maria. Which finals are you studying for today? And Marie, meet Alex. She's from Switzerland, but a Filipino from Switzerland. So, and Trina, we wish you a wonderful time with your brother from San Diego and the family. Is that the first time they've come back, or? Yes, I want to tell you, Alex, I totally agree with you. Do you want to hear the funny story, Alex? Because it will, only I could fall into this problem. Well, I was asked to attend this function so that I could meet her. And we waited, because it was in Filipino time. We waited a long time for her to arrive. And eventually I got really tired. And I noticed that there was a chair near where I was standing. And so, being who I am, I went and sat down. And this could only happen in the Philippines. And I want to say that it could only happen in the Philippines. I doubt it could happen anywhere else in the world. And so I'm sitting there, and suddenly somebody really polite comes and stands in front of me and says, ma'am, I'm really sorry to bother you. And I went, no, that's fine. What can I do? They said, we wondered whether you would whether you could possibly move from this seat. And I said, oh, because? And they said, well, actually, it's Mrs. Aquino's seat. And she's about to arrive. Now, where in the world could there be one chair, and that one chair was apparently for the incoming president? Could you get that close to the seat? You know what I mean? In any other country, there'd be rows of security before you could, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere near the seat. You can imagine me. I went, yeah, I think I could do that. Just hold on 1 second. And of course, as I stood up, there she was. And then the security person or whoever this person was immediately introduced me. And I am going, nice to meet you, the seat's warm. Actually, I didn't say that, but you can imagine I wanted to. Yeah, I was a little embarrassed. But it was like, nobody stopped me. And there was a seat, and I was tired. It was just like, okay. And I was a lot younger than I am now, that's for sure. Anyway, so nice memory for me. All right, anybody else got any news, views, and updates before we start doing our Soul Sunday? And, the thing about me is, that it probably did happen, right? I'm hoping, if you know me well, that it definitely happened. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling the story. Although I'm certain for a lot of people, you would doubt the story. You got an A on your research paper, and it brought up your grade by 7%. Isn't that awesome? Well done, Marie. We are very proud of you, honey. You must be really pleased with that. I feel really proud of it. It's a night, and I'm like yeah. You worked hard for this, Marie. So you keep doing what you're doing, and we know how hard you've worked. I bet you were super excited. Yeah. And remember, Marie, that we're not all good at all things, all right? And that's okay. That's one thing that you will learn as life goes on, right? It's not necessary to be really good at everything. So it's really nice if you can get an A in every subject. Yeah, go right ahead, Alex. Ask the topic now before we start going on. That's what we're here for. And then it'll be interesting to see what Alex comes up with here. Oh, Alex. I'm an expert at this one. I'm sorry to laugh. Alex, how long had you had the relationship for? I'm sorry, it brings tears to my eyes. All right, so I'm sorry. I'm laughing because, really, this used to be my really most difficult thing. So I totally relate to this. Sweetie, how long was your relationship? All right. And one thing I would ask you to remember, and it's the best bit of advice, actually, there are two bits of advice I want to give you. Number one, understand it hurts so much because you cared so much. It hurts so much because you cared so much. Does that make sense? And, like any other loss in your life, you lasted 8 months. All right. How long were you in love for? The reason that I need you to understand is the reason that there are a couple of reasons why you may be feeling the pain. And I would ask you, why do you think you are feeling the pain? Because you really liked the person. So if you really liked the person, I presume that they didn't like you the same way as you like them, if you no longer have a relationship. Would that be correct? And if that is the case, then there's part of me that says, from my own experience, better you find out now, right? Better you find that out now. Yeah. You see, you understand what I'm saying? That better that you find out that they didn't love you the way you loved them before you go ahead and get engaged or married or anything like that. So to me, this is about being very grateful. I would be giving thanks every day that you found this out early. And I know 8 months is a long time, but it's early. The other thing is, are you aware of the cycle of loss? Do you know that when we lose anything in our lives, there is a circle of things that we go through? Are you aware of that, Alex? And if not, I'm just going to talk you through it so you understand. And there isn't a viewer in here that doesn't know the pain, by the way. And the strange thing is, okay, you're not aware. That's what I wondered. All right. So when we have a loss of, it can be a loss of a pet, a loss of a parent, it can be a loss of a relationship, even a loss of something that in my case, if I couldn't find my glasses, that's a loss as well. All right. Because I can't really survive without my glasses. So, it's all the same stuff. It just, the difference is how we deal with it. So just understand the first thing, and I don't know if you found this, the first thing is it's denial. You go, I can't believe this is happening. This can't be true. All right. And you probably went through that for a split second where you went, no, I can't be hearing this. And so the first step in this circle, and it's quite a long circle, and I'm just going to shorten it so you can get the idea. So that first step is denial. And then after denial, you probably went into some level of anger. And you might even have gone into some level of bargaining, trying to say, well, what did I do wrong? And what if I did it differently? Would I be able to get him back again? I would tell you, if you want to recover quickly, stop asking why. If any of your questions that you're asking yourself start with why. Why did he do this? Why didn't he tell me earlier? Why didn't I see it coming? Why? Forget all those questions. When you hear yourself asking any of those questions, go, I choose not to drive myself insane. And the reason I say that, Alex, is because it doesn't really matter. That's my experience. Really, 5 years later, 10 years later, it doesn't really matter. I have to tell you that. And I always thought I need to find out why so I don't repeat it. Well, you're going to repeat it because that was the wrong person. And you will probably repeat it again with another wrong person. So don't worry about the why. Okay, so your first thing is denial, then it's anger, and then you go into sadness. And I'm sure you're there already. And sadness is a difficult one because you're grieving, as anybody does with a loss, you're grieving the loss of the relationship. I think be very aware, you said that the person really made you feel safe. That is an important thing to know. So here's my question to you, Alex. If you're going to spend time thinking about this relationship, think about, what do I need to do for the rest of my life so that I feel safe? Hi there, Brett. Good to see you. So that I feel safe. All right. Does that make sense? If that's what the person brought you, what do I need to learn to do so that I don't have to rely on somebody else to make me feel safe? And that is really important piece of information for you. And you're going to meet different people and they're going to give you different feelings as well. And, if each time you actually work on, how do I learn to do this, to give it to myself so I don't, need it so badly. One of the things that you'll find out in life, Alex, is that we only need what we don't have. It's a really weird thing. We only need what we don't have. So if we have lots of money, just making more money isn't a need, it just is a habit. If we need better health, we will talk about it a lot, whereas people who are healthy don't talk about it a lot and don't need it because they know how to create it. They've done that. And so I always look at these things and say, this was a lesson for me, and I want to know what the lesson is. You already know. This person made you feel safe. And that is something that obviously you don't feel in your real life. And so, Alex, that is a great discussion to have. And I certainly would love to spend some time talking about that if, you want to do that over another broadcast or something. But, what is it in life that makes you feel safe? And so the first thing is denial. Then we go into an anger. Then we go into bargaining. Then sadness. And then when we've done that amount of grieving, we will eventually go into an acceptance of what has happened. And when we've done enough of doing that, we will move on with our lives. But here's the interesting thing. Even though we've gone from denial through the steps, right through to acceptance, you understand that can keep swinging. And anybody who's been through a loss will tell you this, that it comes in waves. Have you noticed that? You'll be doing fine. And suddenly you'll have this wave of sadness come to you, or even a wave of anger. And the interesting thing is not to try and shut it down, but just to feel it. The thing about grieving is the distance between the emotions. And I say the distance between. When we first go through loss, our emotions are very raw. And therefore, every time we get a wave, we probably end up crying or being upset or doing whatever. And as Trina so rightly says, looking after yourself is really important. Beth saying here, my loss of a relationship with my mom, I try and bargain with myself to be more like she wanted me to do. It didn't work. Yeah. I want to tell you something, Beth. It was the biggest lesson. I kept thinking that the reason that men kept leaving relationship with me was because I wasn't doing the right things. I found out I wasn't doing the right things. I was with the wrong people. And it took me a long time to work that one out. I attracted the wrong people. And I attracted the wrong people because I was needy. And I was needy and I didn't realize it. I was a victim and I didn't realize it. And so, Alex, a big hug to you. And Alex, do you know how to get hold of me if you need to? Just be very careful about that, Britt. That may be your case, but it's not usual. Okay. DearMamaSal, right? It's just DearMamaSal@gmail.com. So if ever you want to write to me, there we go. Jody's put it up for you. If ever you want to write to me, then, please do so. Yeah, Britt, all right. It wasn't in your case, but you've seen it with other people. Yes. It does, but again, it's because people believe that they cannot survive without that other person. And that is so wrong. Yes, look what Trina says here. Trying to please everyone has stopped me now. I've learned loads from being here. Thank you, Sal, and everybody. Well, you know something, Trina? Trying to please everybody else guarantees that you won't be happy. How about that one? It guarantees you won't be happy. I can assure you, if I spent my life trying to make every viewer happy, I would not be able to do these broadcasts because everybody has a different need. What I do in my broadcasts is I try and make sure that I do my best. And in that, I will know whether that was good enough because somebody will thank me. Yeah. So, well done. Alex, this is exactly why we are here. All right. This is exactly why we're here. We're here so that when you have this sort of situation come into your life, that we have got a group of people here. We have a group of people here who are great support people. And so, and we've got them, people who support people with cancer, people who support people with emotional issues, people, we've got all different groups of people that support one another. And we have people who come in and out on different days. We have people, with very severe illnesses and people with mental illnesses and people with all sorts. The way I word it, Alex, is every one of us has our own cross to bear. And, it's just different, right? Everybody's got their own thing that they're dealing with. And so the pain that you're going through is so sad to hear. But I want to tell you that you will survive. The other thing I would really say, yeah, I agree with Beth here. Beth's saying a red flag is that when you lose your identity, trying to be the person the other person wants you to be. Yes, I fell into that one horribly, Beth. That was where I was an expert. I was very codependent. And, the thing that I say to everybody who's in depression of any sort, and I think with all due respect that anybody going through loss goes through depression of some sort. Hi, Amal. Anybody who goes through depression will tell you that you need to do things to keep yourself out of going deeper into depression. If you sit and think about it, you will go deeper into depression. And so what it's a bit like one of our viewers, Linda, says that she will not let anybody complain to her for more than 10 minutes. And I think it's a really good thing for us to remember for ourselves. Like I'm allowed to feel the pain and I'm allowed to grieve, but after 10 minutes, I need to get up and do something. And get up and do something, maybe go and tidy something, go and cook something, go for a walk, go and do something that gets your mind off the thinking. So I hope that helps a little bit. But we do want you to know, this is not because you did anything wrong, which is what I always used to think, I must have done something wrong here. And it wasn't true. I just kept falling in love with the wrong people. All right, Jody, so we're going to call that at 31 minutes and let us move on to our quotes for the day. Well, Alex, we love it that you come and trust us and to talk about this. It takes great courage to talk about the fact that you're in emotional pain. And hopefully what we're going to do for the rest of the program will also help you. So just take a deep breath and relax with us, all right? What we do, Alex, is we're going to do a couple of quotes and then we'll all talk about what that quote means for us. And by the way, Britt, I really appreciate the fact that you managed to find us. Amel is saying, Amel's saying if you go out, you end up feeling more depressed because you see people who are happy. All right. Yeah, I totally understand. The great philosopher, DearMamaSal, once said, the world is full of happy people when you're alone. The world is full of happy people when you're alone. And so the trick about this is don't be alone, all right? Make sure that when you go out that you go with somebody or go and visit somebody. It is amazing how I found that to be true. All right, so today we're going to do, Amel, is that the Amel from Tunisia? I got two Amels, and one is from Miami and one is from Tunisia, and I can never remember which one is which. And I've got to find a way of remembering. So Amel B is from Tunisia. Yes, all right, Amel. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Amel always supports us in December as well. So good to see you. And this time next week, we'll be doing December, Amel. All right, here's our first quote, and it's 6 rules to be happy in life. How many of you need those? Are you ready? Take a deep breath. And what I want you to do is as you hear these 6 rules, think about what comes up for you. All right? 1, never hate. Just don't hate people. Right? Just know that you don't agree necessarily, but you don't need to hate anybody. Number 2, don't worry. Have faith that everything will be all right. Just don't worry. The third one, live simply. Right? The same way as I'm trying to learn how to downsize my life and live with less. Live simply. Number 4, expect a little. Some of our greatest disappointments come because of our own expectations of others. One of the things that Jody has a huge issue with, and I totally relate to it. Jody has incredibly good manners, and boy, can she have her day ruined by people who don't have the same level of good manners. And Jody, I say that with love because you really have done well to learn that just because you would do it the right way doesn't mean that anybody else will. And so expect a little and you will lower your disappointments. Does that make sense to everybody? Give a lot. And I know that's difficult because you're going, why would I give a lot when people don't give to me? And somebody once said that to me, whatever it is you want from the world, go give it to somebody else and you will be happy. Instead of waiting for somebody to give it to you, go give it to somebody else. You will be happy. And, you know, it's a really interesting thing. For all of you who watch us do December, how many of you have noticed the joy we get and the pain, the joy we get from doing December, you know, that core group. And we know that there are a lot of other people. All right, Alex, big hugs to you. Big hugs from me to you. We'll see you at December. All right. Thank you for popping in. Give to the world and the world will give to you. Exactly. Yeah, giving. I've always said, people always say things to me like, oh, you're such a kind person. You know, you're always giving of your time and things. And I go, no, I'm not that noble. I just know that giving makes me feel good. All right. And the sixth lesson is always smile. Yeah, and that's true. Brit, Cockney Rebel, we actually call him the Brit. That is so true. He's saying, don't give to get something in return. Yes, if you only give to get something in return, then you may want to check in with yourself why that is so. Give because it makes you happy. People have said to me during December, my gosh, Sal, you don't need to type for 24 hours. And I go, actually, I type for 24 hours because it is my pleasure to do so. And because there are so many people around the world that love it when I do. So why would I not do it? Or the other thing that I get a lot about December is you don't need to reply to everybody. Yeah, well, actually, I think I do. It's just like, when the people join the street team, I do everything I can, to answer their questions. To me, it's a personal thing. And, the fact that it might take me a long time is not the issue. To me, it is about what I choose to do. And it is, I go back to Jodi's point, it is, to me, it's polite. If you're kind enough to write to me or mention me in something, I try very hard to get back to you. It's just like, or even the people from, it's a manners thing again. Yes, I think you're right there, Britt. Good manners cost nothing, right? But so few people seem to have them, and it's wonderful. Now listen to this, and I think and by the way, did those 6 things bring up anything for anybody? Never hate, don't worry, live a simple life, expect a little, give a lot, and always smile. Those really, it's quite simple. If you did those every day, you'd be happy. Good night, Trina. Well, Britt, I thank you for that. I not all the time, not all the time, but there are times when I try to make sure that I remember my manners. I assure you, Britt, as you well know, there are times when my manners get pushed to the limit, and I struggle. But I do try to do that. All right, and here's another really beautiful Zen quote. In Zen, we don't find the answers. We lose the questions. How about that one? Don't worry so much about trying to find the answers. Just stop asking the questions. Just live. How many of you can feel the freedom in that? So the other really important thing, live in the here and now. Yes. Without a doubt, to be grateful, to be thankful for every day and every moment of every day. Okay, Emil, help me with that one because I'm just missing a point there. Emil's saying, but when we live in something, we don't know how we live. Okay, word that a different way for me so that I can understand where you're coming from. Yes, Britt, that's so true. You know, if we need to stop living in yesterday, having memories that we want things to go back to how they were. Or how we want them to be. Yeah, just live. You're right. Just live, Emil. Yes, Beth is saying, my husband always tries to solve my problems or questions whenever I just need to vent and get it off my chest. So the thing you've learned, Beth, is when you want to vent, don't go to your husband. You know, go to the fitness group. They'll understand. Just say, I need to vent. And, you know, I assure you, people will let you vent. And the other thing is, it's really good to go, okay, I finished venting now. How about life is like a cup of tea? It's all in how you make it. You know, we make our lives happy or sad. You know, you've heard me say a lot recently that if it's to do with emotion, it's your stuff, right? Not somebody else's. Whenever it's to do with emotion, it's about your stuff. And, you know, we create our own hell on earth. Now, here's some things that are interesting. And some of these are challenging for me. So I'd be interested to hear which one of these, when you hear them, can you feel the challenge in yourself? All right. So the first one is ego, kill it. Love, value it. Smile, keep it. Success, achieve it. Gossip, ignore it. Jealousy, distance from it. Knowledge, acquire it. Confidence, trust it. Which one of those is challenging for you? Is it ego, love, smile, gossip, success, jealousy, knowledge, confidence? Yeah. So, Britt, that's really interesting. All right, that you can own the fact that gossip is difficult for you. So, why is it important to ignore gossip? I found a really good way to stop people gossiping to me is I will say to them, I hear you gossiping, and I hope the other person isn't gossiping about you the same way. That normally shuts people down pretty quickly. Right, jealousy. What is jealousy? Jealousy is a lack of self-esteem, right? Because if you believed that you were good enough, you'd never be jealous of anybody else. If you believed, you know, if you you understand where the jealousy comes from. The jealousy comes from other people. I'm amazed how many people are jealous of YouTubers, for example. And I'm going, most people would never want to do the work that they do to get that sort of success. You know, they think they want the money, but they'd never be prepared to do the work. And for Beth, it's confidence. And she's saying, confidence for me, it's never enough. I always question how I can do it better and faster. Well, that's not confidence, Beth. So I think I would query that for you. That is not confidence. To always question how you can do it better and faster is achievement. That is not confidence. Confidence is knowing that you probably are the best on the block at that anyway. That's confidence. But what you're talking about is that you get great reward out of doing things faster and better than the next person. All right, that's a success thing as well. The next quote is interesting because it brings up a second point for me, and that is that kindness is like snow. It beautifies everything it covers. How many of you can feel that in your heart, right? Kindness beautifies everything. And then, and I need to be honest about this, then my mind took it one step past there and said, yeah, until all those cars drive on it, and then it ends up as slush and it's a mess. And then I thought, isn't that true? Isn't that true? That when we drive all over people's happiness, we make a mess. Well, Britt, if the only time you get jealous is when guys hit on Mel, it means you don't trust Mel. All right? Because if you trusted Mel completely, then that wouldn't be an issue for you because you would know. Yeah, you trust her with your life, but you don't totally trust her. Otherwise, you wouldn't be jealous. Do you understand where that... Does anybody understand where I'm coming from on that one? That is your insecurity, not hers, right? And I want to tell you something, that if I was in love with somebody and they were jealous and thought that, and got upset with every guy that hit on me, I should be so lucky, I would start to worry about my boyfriend. Because I don't need a man in my life that's always going to be jealous of anybody being nice to me. And so think about that one, Britt. All right. And I think you do know that already, that is not a pretty, that is not a pretty thing to have, right? Jealousy. It's ugly. No, that's not true, Britt. If you didn't trust her, if you were demanding to see her phone and her emails, that would be controlling, which is a step more than just jealousy. That's control. And by the way, if she allowed you to do it, that would be very sad. But anyway, let's move on. If you light a lamp for somebody, it will also brighten your path. How many of you have found that out? When you make somebody's days better, you actually make your own day better. And so that's why I always say to people, go out of your way, if you can, to make somebody's day. Yeah, and I think about it in terms of Britt, the fact that Britt actually managed to find his way onto the broadcast, that brightened my day. I don't know about anybody else. Yes, Beth, I'm sure, because, I've heard what you say, that you do get to do that all the time at work. I try to make sure I do that all the time I'm shopping. Whenever I'm out, I try to make as many people smile as possible. And I love the thought about this one. Come and share a pot of tea. My home is warm and my friendship is free. Now, how many of you can say that? Now, don't worry about whether you like tea or not, get the idea of it. How many of you think that your friendship is free, or do people have to pay a price for your friendship? Yeah, Britt, you're right. Sometimes when you perform a good deed, the only reward you get or need is the satisfaction of knowing you made somebody else happy. That's so true. That's very, very true. So for those of you who have jealousy as an issue, listen to this quote, and I think it's beautiful. It says, "A flower does not think of competing with the flower next door to it. It just blooms." So and this is one that Benji and I talk about a lot. And, fill your life with experiences, not things. Have stories to tell, not stuff to show. Okay, so Mel is saying, I know somebody for 2 years, and we've been friends every day. We speak, and I loved him, and he told me that he loved me. But after 2 weeks, I found that he said that just to see if you loved him. All right, so I know, Amel, that's cruel, isn't it? Yeah, that's really cruel. So how many of you have found that when you can quieten down your mind, your soul will speak? I ask people a lot, if this situation were reversed, what would you want to have happen? And to do that, you actually need to stop thinking externally and start thinking internally. And I found quite often, although I know that I'm not perfect at this, but so often when I can just stop worrying about everything, I am in a much better place. Yes, Beth, I'm certain you're not the only one. Beth's saying, I need an off button for my mind. I think, Beth, that is why you clean so incredibly well. All right. I think anything you do, Beth, you put 110% into it because it takes you away from the chit chat in your mind. Yes, and I agree with you, Britt, right? It's a frightening thought where the paranoid mind can take you. Wow, that is very wise. And I've been there, Britt, so I know where that paranoid mind can take you. And it's not fun. Well, it wasn't for me anyway. And how about strength shows not only in the ability to persist, but the ability to start over. Yes, Beth, I'm glad you can see that is how. I'd like to say, Beth, that to me that is your survival. Your survival is doing. I really get a sense that you love achievement, and whether it's to make somebody smile or whether it is to have a beautifully clean place. I really, from knowing you, know that you get such joy out of achievement. And because it's, you're not, it's yours. And here are 10 other points about Zen. It says, number 1, let go of comparing. How many of you compare yourself to others and make yourself miserable? Or even worse, how many of you compare yourself to others and think you're great? Or how about you compare yourself to others and feel entitled? So if you can, let go of comparing. If you can, let go of competing. You're not in a match trying to be better than everybody else. I think, Beth, there is something in what I see you working so hard at that is so beautiful. If you're going to put any energy in anything, put your energy in making other people happy. And Beth is a living example of that, whether it's her children, whether it's her customers or whatever. Right? She doesn't spend a lot of time competing. All right, so the Brit saying he compares himself with himself of yesteryear. And it makes you miserable, right? So do you think you're less than you were before? Why would that make you miserable? Does anybody else feel that? Just so that Brit's not alone in that. Do you compare your present self with your past self and make yourself miserable? Be interested if anybody feels that. I'm pretty sure that anybody that's had to go through a major illness has some time where they compare their present self with their past self. Oh, you're miserable because the years went by so quickly. You know, how come? Well, imagine what it's like at 72, Britt, or 71 now. But, you know, you go, wow, not just where did the years go, but how many have I got left? But, you know, if I think like that, I'm going to be miserable, so I choose not to do that. I just go, what am I going to do today to make today good? You know, my sister is busy counting down saying, well, you know, our mother died at this age, therefore I've only got a couple of years left. And I'm going, well, no, in today's technology, that is not true, right? The fact that my mom died at 84 doesn't mean that I'm going to. I could be dead tomorrow. That's the one thing. But on the other side, you know, life could be very different. So how about let go of judgments? That's always one that I work on. I think we all judge to some degree, and if we're honest. And so learning to let go of them is definitely a key to happiness. Beth is saying, I grieve for my younger self. I could have achieved so much more if not for hiding myself because I thought I would never measure up. Oh, Britt, I totally believe that I am capable of outliving my mom. Yes, because of just from the technology alone. Beth, I want to go back to your point here. You grieve for your younger self. Please try and think of it this way. There's a reason why they say youth is wasted on the young. All right. I don't think there's any person that doesn't wish that they knew what they know now when they were younger. But unfortunately, you don't get to learn that until you're older. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, Beth? So, Beth, have you ever seen Schindler's List, the movie? Beth, I mean, Britt, my diet is not as healthy as it should be. Or could be. Yes. So do you remember right at the very end, Beth, that Schindler said, I could have done so much more. And I don't know about you, Beth, but when I heard those words, I started to cry because I felt so sorry for him at one level. And it was just like disbelief. How could he possibly say he could have done so much more? Look at what he did. And, you know, he risked everything to help people. And, you know, so from that perspective, I was quite angry with him, but then I thought about it and I thought, gosh, I do the same thing. I could have done so much more. It's so that's it. Britt, if you know that your diet of takeouts, and more takeouts is bad for you, then only you can change that, right? And you obviously don't care about that diet because otherwise you would do something about it. Hi, Nada. I'm glad that you're multitasking. That's always a pleasure to know about. How many of you need to let go of anger? How many of you know that anger ruins your day? And may I ask you, for those of you who are good at letting go of anger, how do you do it? I'm trying to think how I let go of it. I try to remember that everybody is on their own path. All right? Everybody's on their own path. And getting angry is just going to ruin my day. It's not going to change them at all. If I get angry at myself, I look at it and go, why am I doing this to myself? Okay, so Nada, that's really great. If I can ask you, can you give us an example of where you're being angry at yourself? Yeah, Beth's saying that anger makes her physically sick. I don't know about the rest of you, but I very rarely come away from a moment of anger feeling good about myself. I go, I just totally lost control. And that makes me angry again. And I don't like losing control of my emotions. All right, so Beth's saying when she gets angry, she can't eat, can't see past the anger. It changes her heart races. I think when you look at that anger, there is more to it than just anger, Beth. For that many things to happen to you, you probably also are feeling layers, probably some level of betrayal or some level of lack of justice. You know what I mean? There are layers for your anger to have that many physical reactions for you. You've got layers. It's not just a quick anger. All right, so think about that. All right, think about that, Nada. All right, you're angry where you live. All right, so that's not going to change. The only way you change where you live, right, is to make changes, right? To be angry when plans change, that is control. That's about control. All right. How can they do that to me? I've been, and I totally get that, by the way. It's one of mine. Angry at your health at times. Yes, we've all done that. So, yeah. So, Beth, the next time you get angry, can I ask a favor of you? Next time you get angry, come onto the fitness channel, where we have the fitness group, and talk about the anger so we can try and help you find out what's going on. Because we might be able to identify things for you that you've been blaming on just getting angry when it's a lot more than that. I think you'll find it's layers of an onion for you. It's not just that you're angry. It's about other things going on. And I think that's true of most people. So what causes anger? All right, let's get everybody else's views on that. What causes you to get angry? I think for me, I get angry when I see it's about my stuff, by the way. What makes you angry is your stuff. My stuff is I get angry when I see people mistreating other people. Justice makes me angry. Lack of justice makes me angry. I get angry when I see people ripping people off. That makes me angry. And that's my stuff. I get angry when I see people being rude to other people. My stuff. Yes, Nada, when people hurt animals, you get angry. Yes. Your stuff. Okay? Anybody else? What I'm trying to get you to understand is we do anger based on our core emotions. Beth gets angry with other drivers, throws her into a rage, even when she's not in a hurry. That's control. Beth? Yeah, the Brit's saying that certain words make him angry, words like spastic or retard, because those words have been used about him in the past, right? And yeah, they will continue to trigger. I know how you can help yourself with that if you're interested, Brit. So how do we fix it? Yes, Nada, that's the interesting thing. The way we fix our anger is to be aware of what causes our anger. So I would say that for those of you who get angry about people abusing animals, what alternative behavior could you have other than get angry? Oh, Jody, I totally get that. Jody gets angry when people won't look at her in the eyes because she's in a wheelchair. And by the way, if any of you don't know what to do when you meet somebody in a wheelchair, from my experience is get down and be at eye level with the person in a wheelchair. They will love you forever. You know, don't constantly expect them to, have a crick in their neck from trying to look up to you. All right, so let's have a look at this. If you see somebody who is abusing an animal, I would pick up the phone and phone the SPCA or whatever it's called wherever you are. Sorry, my tablet just had a freezing moment for a second. So we'll just try and get that to work again. So think about that, in other words, don't think it, do it. All right. And again, it's one of those things where we spend our lives thinking anger instead of doing something about it. Try and educate somebody who is abusing an animal. From my experience, most people who abuse animals, you trying to educate them might end up being dangerous. Having the police or somebody else, for example, I came across a dog that was tied up in the back of a pickup truck in the blazing sun, and I've got two choices. I saw it happen. Actually, I have three choices. I saw the situation. it was at an event. I immediately went to the loudspeaker system at the event, the guy doing the emceeing, and I said, could you please announce that the person with this truck needs to come and get his dog out of this back of this truck? And they did. They repeated it 3 times, and I waited 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, that guy still wasn't at his truck looking after his dog. So my next call was to the SPCA. And then I undid the leash on the dog and took him to the shade with some water. Now, it was in the back of a pickup truck, so I didn't actually have to break a window. Yeah. Yes, now Beth is saying she's got a manager where she works that gives her attitude when she's working hard because she doesn't work hard. Beth, that's exactly it. You're showing her up, and she doesn't like that. And, you just have to say to her, Beth, listen, we each just are responsible for our own behavior. If you don't want to work as hard as I do, that's your right. That's fine. And don't judge her for it. The life she's going to live is based on that. Yeah. So, on all these things, what I would ask you to do is start looking at your anger and ask yourself, what other action could I take other than just get angry? Because really, when you think about it, getting angry because that person does that really doesn't help. Getting angry because somebody abuses the dog doesn't really help, right? It just makes you angry. Beth, one of the things, I used to travel with somebody who couldn't handle it if somebody, cut them off. And they would actually scream and shout at people. I'm going, you got to explain this to me. That person you're screaming and shouting at, is 3 blocks away already. Why are you screaming at them? They can't hear you. Right? And so she said, but he shouldn't have. I said, should is a guilt word. You're making a judgment. Do you know whether that person that just cut you off has just heard that his wife is in hospital and may not make it through the next half hour? Do you know that? No, he's just late and I don't want to pay the price. I said, you don't know that. You presume that. And by the way, you will know that you are mentally healthier when you can look at somebody who's doing that and go, buddy, let me make room for you. You're obviously in a hurry. And let me try and make room for you so you don't cause an accident. That is when you know you've got mental health going for you. Does that make sense to anybody? Yes, Beth, that is the correct way to look at it. Beth is saying she doesn't get angry at that manager who is lazy because it makes her look so much better. All right? So have a look at your anger this week, and go, what other action could I take? Because being angry isn't getting me anywhere except upsetting me. It doesn't make my life better getting angry. I'm just judging somebody. That's what anger is. And by the way, how many of you have made a mistake? You accidentally dropped something or whatever, and then you get angry at yourself. Well, does that make whatever you drop fit back together again? No, it doesn't. Getting angry doesn't fix anything. That's the bottom line. Getting angry doesn't fix anything. And all I found, and I'm not perfect, guys, you know that. All I found is whenever I get angry, I end up sad because I'm sad that I lost control. So let's work at letting go of anger. How many of you need to let go of regret? The Brit is asking me, have you ever been so angry that you actually wanted to do somebody physical harm? I wish I could tell you that I hadn't, Brit, but the answer is yes. I have. There is no upside to regretting stuff. Either go ahead and do it now or let it go. Regretting what you haven't done, what you should have done, could have done, doesn't get you anywhere. Beth is saying, yesterday this guy pulled right out in front of me, which made me go into ongoing traffic. And that forced her, she almost hit head on with another car. I could have died. I had to pull over. Yeah. Beth, do you know something? I totally understand that. But do you think, I look at it and go, why did he, we don't know why he did it, right? I had it happen, Beth, where I was driving down a road one day, just a regular road. You might have heard me tell the story. And a guy came out of nowhere from a side street and hit me, T-boned me. And I can remember that my reaction to it was to run to the car that hit me and make sure the guy was okay. And it turned out he was an older guy. And I remember saying to him, does anybody know that you're here? He was probably well into his 80s. I said, does anybody know you're here? I was deeply concerned about who he was and why he was there, because obviously nobody intentionally T-boned somebody. Therefore, something was wrong. Do you understand where my mind was? And anyway, I spent some time, exchanging information. I got his information and gave him mine. I did it all for him. And when I finished, and some of you have heard me tell the story before, but when I'd finished, I actually went to go back to my car, and there was a cop standing, leaning actually against a wall of a building, looking at my car. And he went, come here. And I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? Immediate thought, what did I do wrong? And I went over, and the cop sat there, with his arms crossed, and he looked at me and he went, I have a question. And I went, yes, sir. And he said, are you from this planet? And I went, what? And he said, are you from this planet? I just want to check. And I said, why? And he said, I don't know anybody who gets T-boned that gets out of their car and goes to the car that T-boned them and spends 20 minutes helping the person that T-boned them. I've never seen that happen in my life. Therefore, I have to ask, are you from this planet? And I said, well, nobody does that on purpose. Yes, but you see, Beth, right? Your mind immediately went one stage further. What if I'd had baby Lily with me and she dies, right? This is like you're taking yourself, T-boning. In other words, I'm going this way down a street, Britt, and this car is coming this way, and he connected me. He's coming out of a side street and he didn't stop, and he just came straight out of the side street and hit me. That's called a T-bone because it makes the T. See that? T? T. All right? So I'm traveling like this and he's coming from a side street and he hits me. Whacked me on the side would be T-boning, yes. At a right angle. So, but the truth is, I really did believe that he didn't mean to hit me. That's where my mind was. In a split second, first of all, I don't mind telling you, I said a pretty short word. And then the guy said, the cop said to me, I can't believe you never checked your own car. You kept checking his car to see whether it was roadworthy or anything else. And he said, I was here to do all of that for you, but you didn't need me. He said, I just have never seen it before. And it happened to me twice in 1 month. And I had a similar reaction the next time. And what I did was, when I got hit the second time, it was in a car park. And two people, I could see it was going to happen. Two people were doing the wrong thing, and I knew I was going to end up getting hit because I could see it happening in front of my eyes. And the incredible thing was, when they both hit me, I jumped out of my car and everybody else got out of their car, and they're about to get really angry. And I went, stop. Everybody stop. I am not angry. I do not believe that either of you meant to hit my car. So they looked at me and said, what? And I said, I really don't believe that either of you meant to do this. I believe it was what we call it, and that is an accident. And I don't want to do blame, and I don't want to get angry. So let's just exchange our information and be grateful that nobody died. Okay, so Beth is saying the what ifs. It's the what ifs that throw you into a panic and takes me to the next day. Yeah, it takes you to the next day to stop thinking about it. So the simple question is, do not do the what ifs. Because you can scare yourself stupid. You remember, Beth, I don't know if you were there when I was talking to Lizzie. Lizzie is another one that scares herself literally stupid. And, you know, to scare yourself stupid is not kind. But I think it's wonderful you can talk about it, Beth, because hopefully, you know, the next time you go, what if? Hopefully you will hear me say, forget the what if. It didn't happen. How about blame? How many of you need to let go of blame? And why do we blame people? Yes, Beth, so here's the thing, all right? Beth is saying, and it's very important if any of you get the reaction that Beth has. When she gets like that, it's like having an asthma attack, all right? She can't breathe and she feels like her throat is closing. Yes, and the reason is you're hyperventilating, Beth. You're not breathing all the way down. You're just breathing here. And that's why it feels like your throat is closing. And same thing, Nada. If you're doing that, you're hyperventilating. You're not breathing, taking the oxygen into your lungs. You're just taking it to here. All right. So one of the things, whenever you get into anxiety, remember these words. All right. The reason I say to you, breathe in for the count of 5, hold for the count of 5, and let go for the count of 5. The fastest way to get rid of anxiety is to count. Do you both know that? The number one thing to get rid of an anxiety attack is counting. So if you, and the other thing is to get enough oxygen into your system, you know, to stop you hyperventilating. So if you breathe in for 5, yeah, hold for 5, and let go for 5, you will have achieved 2 things. Number 1, you will have counted, which helps stop the anxiety attack, and you will have got more oxygen into your system. And if you still feel like you're in an anxiety attack, do it again, and do it again, and do it again until you realize you're out of anxiety. Yes, a panic attack, which you do to yourself, Beth. You do understand that you do that panic attack to yourself with your what if. You know, panic doesn't attack, right? Beth, there is one book that really would help you a great deal if you're interested. And I'm pretty sure you can buy the Kindle version of it. Hang on a second. I'm just going to type it for you. This book really helped me understand this. Now, not that I'm perfect, as you know. Look up a book called Gifts from Icus by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Right? because he talks about this. He talks about panic attacks. He talks about people saying they're scared of heights. Well, hello, there's nothing to be scared of heights. You scare yourself when you go high, right? Heights don't scare you. You scare yourself, all right? A panic attack is something you do to yourself. Beth does it brilliantly. She just has to go, what if? And she can imagine the most terrible things. And that turns her into naturally a panic attack because she's reliving this movie and it's a horror movie. Beth, can you see that you create your own movie by the what if? Because if you can see that you do that, you'll be halfway out of it. Nada, can you see that as well? That the what if creates the movie that scares you stupid. All right. So all I'm asking is think about it. Next time you have a panic attack, will you remember counting stops the anxiety? Counting. And oxygen into your lungs is going to make it faster. So if you... Good, Nada. The fact that you are doing something to try and stop them is wonderful. It takes a bit of practice. Well, Beth, if it makes sense to you, then it's been worth the time I've spent here today. All right? And that's what I've always said, Beth, that my greatest challenge is to try and find pictures that people can see that will make sense rather than the gobbledygook that you get dished out and it doesn't make any sense. I'd rather be able, if I can, to give you a picture that makes sense to you. Yes, and as you said, Britt, right, it's frightening when the paranoid mind can take control of you. Yep. Oh, Nada, how kind of you. And Nada's saying, for those on the replay, she's saying, I wish I could show you how much you've helped me and others. Well, you do know I'm not perfect, Nada, right? And all I'm trying to do is to pass on some of the things I've learned. My greatest wish is that nobody would have to go through the pain I went through because I didn't know these things. And if you want to know what made me angry at one point of my life is, why didn't they teach us this at school? Why didn't they teach us these mental health tricks at school? And then I realized getting angry about it wasn't going to fix it. And that's why I decided I'm going to spend what time I have in my life trying to help other people see it. Yes, Beth is saying she can actually see it in her mind, even if it didn't happen. It's detailed too. Like my nightmares of a death drowning in a car, sinking in water. All right, so water, anytime you dream about water, Beth, that's emotion. I just need you to know that. The fact you're drowning is you're drowning in emotion. All right, guys, I need to go because I need to go and cook dinner, but I'm hoping that today's broadcast have helped a couple of you. Wow, the Brit is saying that he's found himself getting less angry since he tried to cut down on his bad language. That is wonderful. I want to tell you that I've done quite a bit of work on dreams, and it helped me a great deal to realize that the dream that I was dreaming wasn't what I thought it was. What's for supper? I'm actually doing a turkey lasagna that I cooked up the turkey and onions and stuff yesterday, and today I did a whole lot of other bits of layers of it. I have no idea what it's going to taste like. It might taste horrible. I don't know. Please do a dream broadcast. All right. And I'm sure that Jody will take a note of that for me. Yeah, Beth, I really don't know what it's going to taste like because I sort of threw in whatever there was. I realized that my greatest challenge, Beth, as I try to change my diet, or as I change my diet, my greatest challenge is the bottles of stuff I have in my fridge. You know, whenever I cook, I grab a bottle of teriyaki sauce or some HP sauce or some tomato sauce. You know what I mean? I realize that that's going to be my biggest challenge, is how not to go for those bottles, because I'm pretty sure they are laden with sugar. Yes, Britt, we do call it odds and sods in England. That's quite right. Yeah. That's the way I cook, Beth. I'm an odds and sods, as the Brit calls it, cook. Guys, I need to go. I'm already late. I send you all a big hug. I want to thank everybody for talking about the stuff they did, because we will never know who it helps. Nada, you will never know who you helped with that discussion. Beth, as usual, all right, your honesty helps so many people realize that they do the same thing. And I really thank you. Britt, thank you so much for finding us. And just know that after the broadcast, I will disconnect the chat. Sometimes it takes a little while. So just know that happens. All right. Beth, thank you for checking up to make sure that the chat is disconnected. I really appreciate that. Practice breathing and counting, Beth. It's the counting that is really important for you. It will, whenever you get into the next scary situation, stop the what if and start counting. I need you to get that in your mind. I need to stop the what if by counting and breathing. Okay? You will be amazed what it does for you. Even when that client, makes you so angry, stop it by counting and breathing. All right. Everybody have a wonderful week. 2 weeks, in fact. I will not be here next weekend because I will be doing Down December. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you for the support. Thank you for helping one another. This is DearMamaSal saying look after one another, but most of all, look after yourself. Bye-bye for now.